A land before time. The Philippines, long before the arrival of the Spaniards, was not a single unified nation. Instead, it was a collection of independent villages called barangays, each ruled by a chieftain or datu. These barangays, scattered across the islands, thrived on trade. Our ancestors, skilled seafarers and artisans, traded with their Southeast Asian neighbors. Chinese merchants too frequented our shores, exchanging goods like silk and porcelain for gold and pearls. These interactions wove a rich tapestry of cultures, shaping the languages, beliefs, and traditions of the early Filipinos. Life in the pre-colonial Philippines was not without its conflicts. Rival barangays often engaged in skirmishes, raids for resources, and prestige a common occurrence. Yet amidst these conflicts, a strong sense of community prevailed. Our ancestors believed in spirits, both benevolent and malevolent, and this belief system, passed down through generations, formed the foundation of their cultural practices. The arrival of Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 marked a turning point in Philippine history. Magellan's voyage, intended to circumnavigate the globe, brought the archipelago under the Spanish crown, initiating over 3 centuries of colonial rule. Spanish influence was all-encompassing. The introduction of Christianity, the construction of grand churches and fortifications like Intramuros, and the imposition of Spanish language and governance reshaped the social and political landscape. This era witnessed both the oppression of colonization and the birth of Filipino nationalism. Key figures emerged during this period. Lapu-Lapu, the chieftain of Mactan, is revered for his bravery in resisting Magellan's forces. José Rizal, a writer and intellectual, ignited the flames of revolution with his powerful words, ultimately giving his life for the cause of freedom. The Spanish colonial period, though marked by struggle, also saw the fusion of indigenous and Spanish cultures, giving rise to unique traditions, art forms, and a distinct Filipino identity. The end of the 19th century witnessed another shift in power. Following the Spanish-American War, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States in 1898. The Americans, eager to establish their influence in Asia, ushered in a new era of colonization, albeit with a different approach. The American colonization period saw significant advancements in education, infrastructure, and public health. The Americans established a public school system, making education accessible to a wider population. English, introduced as the language of instruction, became a language of commerce and governance, leaving a lasting impact on Filipino society. However, the transition wasn't without its challenges. The Philippine-American War, a bloody conflict that erupted as Filipinos resisted American rule, demonstrated the enduring spirit of independence that burned within. Despite the hardships, the seeds of a democratic society were sown. The Americans, recognizing the growing desire for self-governance, granted the Philippines Commonwealth status in 1935. This period of transition, though interrupted by the Second World War, laid the groundwork for the eventual independence of the Philippines. The outbreak of World War II cast a long shadow over the Philippines. In 1942, Japanese forces occupied the islands, marking the beginning of a brutal and oppressive regime. The war brought suffering and hardship, with Filipinos enduring forced labor, food shortages, and the horrors of war. However, the Filipino spirit of resilience shone through. Resistance movements, both organized and spontaneous, sprung up across the archipelago. Guerrilla fighters, operating in the mountains and jungles, bravely fought against the Japanese, aided by American forces. The Japanese occupation, though a dark chapter in Philippine history, ultimately served as a catalyst for independence. The shared struggle and the sacrifices made during the war ignited a collective national identity, pushing Filipinos closer to their dream of freedom. On July 4, 1946, after decades of colonization and the horrors of war, the Philippines finally achieved its hard-won independence. The journey to freedom had been long and arduous, shaped by the legacies of colonization, the sacrifices of countless Filipinos, and the enduring belief in the power of self-determination.